Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Pedro.
This is Jackson.
You're watching Solid Foundation again. Thank you all for tuning in. Jackson, today we're going back to the basics.
That's right.
We're going all the way to requirements to become a licensed agent.
Like when we signed up.
Like when we signed up, right? So we're talking the steps to getting your license, and we're basing it here specifically in Texas.
Right.
We're not necessarily talking about all the other states.
Right.
But it's the basics here in Texas. So if you're looking to get licensed in Texas, Jackson, what are some of the first steps?
Yeah, so the first step is just going through the application. You know, the Texas Real Estate Commission here has a pretty simple little application that will give you breakdown step by step. But there is, of course, a couple of things you'll need. You know, you can submit that you're going through the process, but you want to do some stuff ahead of time.
Right.
That'll save you a lot of time, and we're going to go through that. Of course, there's coursework that's involved. So that's where I typically tell people to start is, you know, have you done the coursework? What are you scheduled to do it? Which services are you going to use? There's a lot of options out there. Especially now, you can do a lot of it online. Something to note too, really all the Texas Real Estate Commission is looking for is either a GED or a high school diploma. So that's it. You know, you don't need a college education to go through and get this license to do real estate. So yeah, I mean, that's where I tell people to start. I know there's a couple of options.
So schooling first.
First, that's where I would recommend. And you know, we have kind of behind us our like hour requirements. So there's a lot of the classes are 30 hours. So you know, when they talk about the hour requirement, that's what they're talking about, right?
And and you know, there are 6 main courses in Texas that are required for you to get to apply for a license. So the courses you want to take, just to go over the list, you're going to need 180 classroom hours to get a license. And those classes are going to be Principles of Real Estate 1 and 2, Law of Agency, Law of Contracts, Promulgated Contract Forms, and Real Estate Finance. Those are the basics.
And those are the basics, and you know, it doesn't sound like a lot. You know, if you break it down to just the courses, it sounds a lot easier than the 180 hours. You know, they make it sound a little bit intimidating on purpose, but it can be done very quickly. That's the other thing. I talked about the online options of doing this. You can do it completely online, and there's a lot of times there's no minimum time, right? It's not like you're going to get a 4-year degree and it takes 4 years to do. These are literally 180 hours of your time.
As quick as you can go.
So as quick as you can go,
I know, Jackson, for me, I did a school that I went to here locally. They offered in-person in the mornings and at night. So I wanted to be done in a month. So I did both morning and I would stay there and do the night classes. So in about 3 weeks, I was done.
So, and it can be done that quickly. You know, people, like I said, are intimidated by having to continue education. You know, they want to get out of high school, they want a job, and that's definitely a solid feeling we hear a lot now. You know, as 4-year degrees become so expensive, it makes sense to consider investing in a license and doing these courses. You can do it quick, get to your job fast. So that's where I would start those classes for sure.
The classes. So search it, right? Research it. Find a place that offers classes. That it's a good place, a reputable place, right? That's very important. Many different prices. Some, I mean, I've seen from $700 for the whole thing up to, you know, a couple $100. I know some community college even offer, you know, like the same courses as well that you can. It'll take longer, but it's probably more affordable too.
And I've seen that too. That you can get a real estate certificate or certification through a community college. And you can take that certification, and sometimes it will count for these credits. So don't forget that too. If you did something real estate related, let's say you did a business degree, and you got a real estate certification along the way, that can help you contribute when you go to apply. So don't feel like you have to double up some of these courses, because I have had agents on my team come in that have done that coursework in college, and you can have it credit over, which is really nice too.
What I like about the place that I went to for school is the fact that they offered a lot of exam prep courses. So in the state of Texas and pretty much anywhere else, from what I understand, you're going to have 2 exams, which is the national one and then your state one, right? Depending on where you're at. Texas, you know, you have the Texas portion and then you have the national. So once you finish all your classes, and you attend exam prep courses, right, to kind of go over everything you learned. Very fast paced. So to me, I took it really serious, that exam prep. It was like 2 days long, but I was honestly like studying more than ever for those 2 days. In my opinion, it's important to not wait too long after you do the exam prep to go test. I think you don't want to wait too long while everything is fresh in your head. That's when you want to go take the exam.
Yes.
Right? So
definitely.
Once you complete your classes, you get all the certificates from Trek saying that you have completed those classes. They have to show, you have to deliver those certificates to Trek. Trek will approve them, and then they'll let you know that they have received them. Once you have that done, then the next step is to go take those exams. Once you take the exams, then you also have to do fingerprints and a background check.
Right. So if you've never done that before, Trek, the website, like your real estate commission anywhere, has a breakdown on where to go, what servicers to go to this. But it is very quick normally. That's why we talk about doing and prepping the exam and doing the exam all first, because that normally takes the longest. Once you get to the fingerprint background check stage, it's like a week, or less. So you do have to do a background check and do the fingerprints. Then you're basically compiling everything with that application, submitting everything to Trek, and you do have a little bit of a waiting period typically too, but it just depends on how fast they're doing it. We had a couple of blockades during COVID, for example, but now they're normally back on track and it's quick. The thing to think about too is it is a real estate license, so even once you get through all of these processes, you still do have to maintain it.
Yes.
So it's much like having a bar card. You have to do continuing education.
Yeah.
So when people say CE, that's what they're talking
Continuous education.
Right.
Exactly. So, something I recommend once you get your license, that's when you definitely want to shop around for a brokerage.
Yes.
Right? A team, depending on what you're looking for. If you watch some of our videos, you understand some of the things that we provide as mentors and some of the things we recommend to new agents starting. And one of those things is interviewing with different companies, different people.
Yep.
In your opinion, what are some of the questions and things to consider that are very important for a first agent looking to join a team?
Yeah,
or
so
a brokerage.
Absolutely. So this is very critical to your career. We have a lot of agents come from different teams and join us, and it's normally a slew of these reasons that we'll probably talk about. But you want to ask, why this brokerage, right? Like you want them to kind of try to sell you on the brokerage first. Ask them what's different from them versus Keller Williams, them versus the RE/MAX. The other thing to consider is, do you know anyone at any of the brokerages? Because that could help you. If you have someone that you know already there, that could be an easy mentor or an easy into the business structure. So definitely start there. The other thing is, we want to talk about the fee structure. Does it cost me anything for my business? Because that's the thing. You have to kind of make your mentality into, this is now my business. Once you have a real estate license, where am I going to bring my business? And so for my business, does it make sense for me to pay $250 a month for whatever they're providing? If that's their fee structure. If everything comes out of a commission split, we want to know that, right? So you want to ask, how is the structure built out? What does it cost me to be here? What benefits do I get for being here? That's the biggest thing. I think too, you want to determine very early in your career. I think this is something that worked for me, was determine if you work well at home or work well in the office.
Right.
Because there's a lot of brokerages that do have a brick and mortar, and it's really nice to go in and that's how you work and that's how you like to work. You want to do that, right? But there are some brokerages that don't have any brick and mortar. It's virtual, and you're just working from home.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one. What about some of the things that you consider?
I definitely agree with you 100% on everything you said. You want to know what type of support do they have for you besides, splits and different things. Coaching. Do they have coaching? Do they have a mentorship program?
Yeah.
Are you new? Do you have experience? If not, who is going to guide you? Who is going to help you out, right? What type of leads are they providing? Do they provide any?
Right.
How do they go about obtaining connections? What's your way of obtaining connections? What are the duties that they require for you to get business through the company?
Yep.
All those things. So what can they support when it comes to listing, buyers, what services they provide for you? All that good stuff you want to know. But I think the most important thing, Jackson, and going back to a couple videos, was the support as a new agent.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the ones that offer the most amount of commission split for the agent, they probably are the ones that don't have as much support for you as well.
Right.
So that's very important. I mean, we all want to make as much money as possible, right? We all do. But at the same time, I want to learn the skill first in order to make the most amount of money as possible.
Right.
If you give me 100%, but I don't have any skills and I don't know what to do, what am I really getting? 100% of what? Nothing?
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. So I think that's a huge consideration too. I think something important, if you're brand new to real estate, you just got your license, make sure you don't go in like you're the rock star.
Right.
Okay, because you have to start and ground yourself.
It's a process. You got to be humble. You're
right.
learning.
You got to ground yourself. So when you go in, like Pedro said, don't shoot for the highest number possible that you can get. Think about, how do I learn the business the fastest?
Who's going to help me?
Right, yeah.
What can you do, brokerage, for me? I'm new. I need help.
Yeah.
I know I could join anybody pretty much that is hiring for agents. But what about you will help me grow my business? How can you support me? I don't know anything. I took all these classes, but if you ask me a couple questions about the contract, I may not know anything.
Right.
So who's going to help me out when I have my first deal to ask questions? Who can do that?
Exactly.
Is the broker still competing for business with you? Are they not? Like, all those things you want to know.
Yeah, you definitely want to know if the boss is getting the lead first, right? So, because they're probably not going to beat him. The other thing is, too, don't always gravitate to the biggest number.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of people who say they've been in real estate a long time. You're going to have your parents talk about, oh, you should get the biggest split, right? But people who really do well in this business do not look at it that way, okay? So don't go in and ask and hear their commission splits 50-50 and immediately red flags go off in your head. Well, if I'm giving you 50% of the commission, what am I getting? Like we talked about this, but it's a very important question because there are many brokerages out there with very many happy agents that may even be getting a minority split, but it's because maybe there's a cap. You know, maybe there is a limitation to the low split. If you're coming in brand new, don't expect 100%. That's the other thing. You know, you can't expect a brokerage to give you everything of what you're doing right off the gate.
I mean, and even if they do give it to you, does that mean that you have the skills to even capitalize on the benefits they're giving you?
Right.
Right? I mean, not to, throw shade at anybody, but I think there's definitely a spot for people that should chase 100% commission. But I think that avatar of an agent is someone that already has experience and has been established for a certain amount of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just because that may not be the place you need to go right now, it doesn't mean that it can't be in 5 to 10 years. Just understand where you're at right now. Right now, I'm a newbie. I'm learning. I need help. That's what I'm chasing.
Exactly.
I'm not competing with my neighbor who's been doing it 30 years and she makes 100% commission. Well, she's been doing it for too long. She has way too many people reaching out to her. Do you have any SOI?
Right. Exactly.
Do you have any business that you pay for? Right? Understand those things. Understand what type of budget you will need to have to join a specific brokerage. Some brokerages you do need to have a budget. Some brokerages you can get by with just the commission split.
Yep.
Right.
Right, exactly. So I think something too that I just thought about when you brought it up, if you go back to when we were talking about getting the license and going through the process, there is no limitation of when you can do and get a real estate license. That's what I've always really liked. Someone who, say you're out there and you struggled in a different business for 15 years maybe or less. But a long period of time, you're doing something else. It's not really working out for you, or you want to change career paths. This is something you can go do these courses.
Yep.
There's no prerequisite, right? You don't have to know math good enough. You don't have to, know everything real estate. These courses will teach you how to get this license.
Yeah.
So another thing we should consider, if you have business experience or business, let's say you have a car salesman. Yes, you definitely probably have more sales experience, and it's going to be easier for you to bridge into a brokerage. because you may have a book of business.
Right.
So that's the thing to think about here. Network is important, and this goes both for you, the agent, and your brokerage. If your brokerage that you choose to be sponsored by has a massive network, that is going to help you, right? It's immediately going to help you as soon as you come in on day one. And when you go say you're part of XYZ team, and it's recognizable in the city, instant boost, right? So consider that too. Not only just the numbers, but how networked are they in my community?
What does the name do for me?
Right, and what can I take advantage of?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What can I use that they have to leverage my business? That's what we talk about.
Yeah.
Everybody has a lot of things, but can you actually use them to leverage your business is what you should be very conscious of.
Exactly.
Totally agree with you on that. So let's see. So we talked about the questions to ask, some things to look at. Now let's talk about fees that they should be expecting as a new agent.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not talking about brokerage fees here. So
Right.
every agent is going to have some fees you're going to have to budget into your business. The pro tip is you can write these off also because it's an expense to run your business. We're talking about MLS fees. So there are a lot of different MLSs. I mean, the state of Texas probably has 100 of them, which is crazy. And so you want to consider that. If there is one that's it comes to mind for me is like Dallas has their own MLS, but there's also a Dallas Fort Worth MLS. Which one do I pay for? Which one is worth it for you? That's a consideration.
What areas am I comfortable working?
Right.
Maybe I want the other ones, but maybe I don't want to drive that far.
Right, and maybe you don't want to risk that expense right out the gate. Find what works for you. Try one out. See if you end up running into it in the field, having to be part of another MLS. That would help. The other thing is you have National Association of Realtor fees. A lot of Board of Realtors, which we'll talk about a little more, requires you to be part of NAR. I know NAR is not a popular topic right now, but it is a requirement for a lot of boards. So it is an expense that you'll have to incur. What's nice is they do provide you with benefits. So it's not like you're just paying to be a member and you don't get anything. So our Board of Realtors, that's the other thing. So we have a San Antonio Board of Realtors here, but there's also the Austin Board of Realtors. There's also, all various different cities may have a different board. So that's something to consider also. You will have to be members of these normally to get access into the MLS, but then also just to transact business.
Yes.
It is a requirement to be part of a board in general to be sponsored.
Yeah.
So
it's not just having the license; it's actually being a part of a board.
Right. So those are a couple of the things. And you want to consider those, and they are pretty high at the beginning, but the renewals are not as much.
Yeah, and it's quarterly, right? For the most part, every physical year, it'll be like a heftier amount, but then after that, the quarterly is not too bad. I think is like you said, starting with one, right? Understanding how good you're doing, how much can you benefit from this one, and then understanding if I was to pay this much and work another area, how could that help my business? Is it worth it? Is it not? In my opinion, if I consider joining another board or a different area that I want to work, I think about, well, all I really need to do is guarantee one transaction and it'll be worth it for the rest of the year.
Exactly.
To pay for that fee.
So exactly, and so we're not talking about $1 million fees here. A lot of these are a couple of $100s,
a few $100.
Yeah, a few $100, and like Pedro said, normally one transaction will knock it out. So the times I've considered other places too, and paying for the MLS for a temporary period of time is like family members. If you have family that's all over the state, you can normally transact with your real estate license all over the state. So that's another consideration is our Texas license especially is good for the whole state of Texas. So even if we, pay $150 for this one MLS for one quarter and just do the deal in that one quarter and then leave it, you can do that. So, it's pretty flexible. And it's a big tax expense, like tax write-off expense as well. So don't see it as your money getting burnt. There are other ways to take advantage of it and utilize it. But it is something you guys should consider.
Be mindful of your budget. Be mindful of how much money you're coming in. If you're a part-time, are you still holding a job to make ends meet, or are you coming in just all in understand where you're at financially, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things, once you get going, you're determined, you get your license, you join the right team that works for you, that offers things that you can definitely benefit from. At that point, it's up to your grind and your hustle, how quick you start paying off again.
Right. No, and this is just the start, right? And, you know, like we said before, you can get it done really quickly. I mean, you can be done licensed in normally a 2-month period is what I typically tell people. And I've said in a previous video, you know, before you jump all in, make sure you have about 3 months savings to do this research, pay for those fees, and get rolling. But yeah, once you're there and do transactions, a lot of this stuff you won't think about. I mean, we've talked about that in other videos, is really just focusing on selling houses at that point, you know, but we wanted to come out of the video and just explain the whole starting process. But
awesome. So, I mean, on a quick note, just to recap, the best brokerage team to join is the one that works for you, that offers what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
That's the answer, honestly. I can pinpoint many different reasons, many different ways, but at the end of the day, is what's important to you. Everyone's circumstance is different. Maybe your parents are in real estate too. Maybe they're welcome to just have you learn from them, guide you, and maybe you can go to a place that offers more split or whatever it is. But maybe not. Maybe you're starting fresh and you want a little bit of both. I want to do some things, but I want a lot of things to be done for me. And that's probably the best place for me, is somewhere where it can give me a little bit of both without necessarily being out there by myself, like a lone wolf. But also I get benefits from being a team member and things that are done for me.
Yeah, I think an important thing
more like
too,
a hybrid type of thing.
Right. I think an important thing too is you kind of brought it up, is the marketing aspect. Pay attention to how much you want to market yourself. You know, if you want to feed off of a team and the team's name, and you don't want to focus on marketing at all, well, that's a huge consideration when you're looking for somewhere. But if you're really creative and you want to be the guy on the billboard, you want to be, try to make it where you have your own TV commercials, right? You may want to find a brokerage that's less invasive with that. Like they don't have too many marketing requirements. That way you can just generate your own thing and make your own marketing. Those are huge factors because some people go to a team and don't ask, hey, can I market myself, or can I make my own Facebook or make TikTok, right? If you don't ask that and then you get kind of shuffled in, you feel resentment with the job, where it really is just resentment against the brokerage and its structure. So make sure to ask that too. That's
a great point. Great freaking point. And I think, not to say that you shouldn't do marketing. I mean, we push it heavy, right? Because if you ever want to get to a place where you're by yourself and you get a lot more money, well, you have to be good at all these things already before you get to that point. Right. So find a place that offers both, right? Challenge yourself every year to get better. Understanding that you're not going to be probably the guys that you see on TV for the first couple of years. And as long as you're okay with that and you embrace the journey that it takes, every year you should get better. Get better, make more, do better, more transactions, help more families, do more things. And eventually you might decide that maybe a different place is your home once you get to a certain benchmark in your career.
Right. And I think it's really unique too. We're in a position now where you have really nationally known brokerages. You have TV shows like Selling Sunset, $1 Million Listing. You've got the Bravo channel, that features a lot of real estate stuff, HGTV, for example. Don't let the TV perception of those brokerages make that decision for you. It's very easy to go to somewhere like Sirhan, and you love seeing him and you love the content. Make sure there's the structure is what you want, because there are a lot of stuff involved with those that are a lot of hard work. And you're not going to get featured, you're not going to get featured immediately. So make sure you're placing yourself where you can excel, where you don't put yourself in with too much competition, I would say too, because, joining a brokerage with 1,500 agents is going to be very tough. So think about that too, and where you are in your career.
That's great. And just to end the video, I just want to touch on, just because we mentioned the requirements for classes, understand that this is a continuous business, right, that changes every day. The ones that stay on top of their education are the ones that do the best.
Right.
So there are many classes, many certifications that you can continue to get while you're licensed to add more to your resume, to give you more qualifications to do certain things.
Right.
Maybe you want to specialize in servicing veterans. Maybe you want to specialize in luxury. Get with your local brokerages, local title companies. They offer classes and courses you can take to add another little extra layer to your resume.
Yep.
Continue to self-educate. That is number one. Don't think you're done with these classes.
Right.
There's more to come.
Right.
And understand that there's a renewal period. For the most part, every 2 years, and you have to have a certain amount of classes completed in order to renew the license.
Right.
Don't be the agent that waits until the week off, and now you're rushing to take 5-6 classes again. Right. With that being said, man, I think we touched on the basics that that agents may want to know to get started. Their requirements in Texas, and overall, it's pretty similar in a lot of places. But you're definitely going to have 2 exams. You're going to have a background check of a sort, and you're going to need classes to take.
Right, and like Pedro said too, just to wrap it up, that national exam. So it's 2 separate things. What's good is a lot of times your national credits will transfer. So if you transfer states or want a license in another state, this is very popular in the Northeast, for example, where all those states are real close together. You can just do the state portion. But yeah, keep up with your education. It's crucial. Like I have a historic home specialization. That was a lot of fun to do. A lot of the stuff you can find fun and still get credit.
And it just looks good, and you get to tell people I'm actually I specialize in this type of service that I'm about to give you.
Yeah.
Right. And now
it sets you apart.
Not everyone has it, so you're unique, right?
Yeah.
We talk about unique value proposition in another video. So this goes to that.
Exactly.
So guys, I hope this video helped you guys a lot. We got more videos coming. Please leave comments, any questions you may have, maybe suggestions for more videos. And with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in.
Click subscribe.